What's going on, virtual golfers? We have even more 2K25 news today. They have released some more info on their website that was not included in their My Player and My Career overview. This is like, I believe, a full breakdown of everything. If you missed that video, I'll put the link to it down in the description below so you can check that out. But yeah, we're going to dive into all things EvoSwing, shot types, level up tokens, club information, everything that they've given us. If you want to keep up with all of this news coming out for PGA Tour 2K25, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out. We're going to be putting out content as they give it to us, and once the game comes out, we'll be playing it, streaming it, doing all of the things, so make sure to get in there. All right, let's dive in. So, PGA Tour 2K25 swing settings. We are going to be having swing stick and 3-click returning to dial in our preferences and become a Link's legend. Swing stick is driven by the player's own rhythm and dexterity, while 3-click, you play a reactionary role with gameplay using visual cues to hit the perfect shot. Now, 3-click is a concept that has been around for a long time in golf games. For the 2K franchise, it was brought in for the first time in 2K23, and I assume there will be an iteration of it here. I would imagine that they're going to tweak it. That being said, they only mentioned it in the video. We didn't really get any more elaboration. I don't even think that they showed any visuals as to what the 3-click swing will look like. So hopefully they'll elaborate on that a little bit more as we get into this article. But we have the PGA Tour 2K25 perfect swing. I'm going to actually zoom this in just a touch here so it's a little bit easier to read. And I'll, you know what? We'll do this on the fly. I'll throw myself off to the side. All right, perfect. Ha! The perfect swing. Get it? One of our goals alongside making the most authentic golf game on the market is delivering the most accessible golfing experience. Our perfect swing difficulty does just that. As our new players get used to the complex game of golf, they can have this option to ease that journey with a swing sure to find its target. And for those low handicappers who just want to kick back and relax before jumping into my career, perfect swing is perfect for them too. It's actually probably a really good thing for the designer. Maybe if you're just trying to test out particular things around a course, or you're trying to practice and you want to be precise as to where you put yourself situationally so you can test from there. They definitely have some variation of this currently in 2K23. This sounds more like a rebrand, but may also have some slight nuances to, maybe it's always perfect swing playing and such as well. Now you have the PGA Tour 2K25 EvoSwing, which is the big name that they keep touting. Here to introduce a new and more authentic and realistic swing that brings even more real golf feel to PGA Tour 2K25. EvoSwing timing adapts to your input mechanics for a tailored, perfect rhythm, while your swing path is based on your own swing bias as selected during my player creation. So the one thing that I don't quite know, swing bias selected during my player creation. So you probably have a bias that's like left or right. Now, whether that means that your swing always shows up as slightly crooked or not, or if it's straight relative to your bias, that is one thing that remains to be seen. And I don't know if we're going to have any screenshots. It doesn't look like it. Also, adapts to your input mechanics for a tailored perfect rhythm. So currently there's a concept of calibration. Everybody has a default calibration. You swing during the calibration 10 shots, and it moves your relative perfect window based on that. Adapts to your input mechanics. That's an interesting one. So I don't know if that's like over time it will start to shift. That makes it kind of hard to be like truly consistent or like dial into things, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. The wording of it is very much so piquing my interest. Now we also have club selection and shot type directly influencing additional swing bias applied to your shot. So there's this concept of club bias and shot type bias. Drivers at 100%, woods 90%, utility 80%. I'm assuming this is hybrids. But the fact that they call it utility, I don't know what else that would be. But just an interesting choice of wording. Iron 65%, wedges 50%, and putter 0%. And then shot type bias, full 100, choke up 90, new shot type, 10% power reduction from a full shot. Which 10% power reduction from a full shot. The way it's set up now, I'm just trying to think through like my current club gapping. Now this might be more useful once you get to like your big club gaps at the top, right? If you're going to choke up on your driver, woods, hybrids, maybe even like a 3-iron, or something where you might have a bigger club gap out. That 10%, that means a lot, right? If you had a 300-yard driver swing and a 260-yard 3-wood, now you choke up to 270, 260 to 240, you choke up. Maybe that's a little bit, you mess with things with spin. It doesn't seem like quite a half club difference, right? Where say you had a 160-yard 9-iron and a 170-yard 8-iron. 10% is 17 yards off your 8-iron. All of a sudden your 8-iron is going shorter than your 9. So it'll be interesting to see like where that's useful. Maybe it's like kind of through the wind. Punch shot 80, pitch shot 65, flop 50, splash 50, chip 0, and putt 0. So they're not really giving us, we have a swing bias and then additional swing bias on the shots, but right now they're just percentages. So I don't know if bias is actually less about like a directional thing or if bias is the new word that they're giving for forgiveness, but that would also be backwards because essentially wedges having half the forgiveness of a driver wouldn't make any sense, right? You would think that your short game stuff would be more forgiving than the longer. So they're giving us information without giving us information. How to Evo swing perfectly with the swing stick. Grab your controller. It's time to put club to ball. I don't think it's going to do anything, but I'm following the instructions. Watch the EvoSwing HUD at the right and pull the swing stick right. Okay, so it's kind of nice that they are giving you, that information up here. Now, this is interesting. It does say right stick on PlayStation and Xbox. I'm assuming things will remain the same and that I can switch it back to left stick. I personally have bias towards the left stick. Is that just what I'm comfortable with? This is probably just for demonstration purposes. You pull the swing downward toward the backswing target at the bottom of the meter. This is the swing path target, determines how much push or pull is applied to your shot. As you backswing, the power meter indicates, or the power indicator will begin to expand. Push the swing stick upward to transition to the downswing. If you push the swing stick with the power indicator short of the transition target ring, this will result in an underswing and a loss of distance. The power meter goes beyond. Swing difficulty is increased and additional power is applied to the shot. This is just a reframed way. Now, they've done it a couple of different ways. 2K21, there was a little slider at the bottom. 2K23, they made it this arc around the character. It looks like now in 2K25, they are keeping everything around the character. That part of the UI is clean. Now you're going to have down in the lower section, which will be over here. Now, I don't know if there's UI stuff to flip it, but over here, you are going to have it very compact. You're going to have your power is going to be part of the ring now. After perfectly timing your swing cursor to reach the transition target, push the swing stick upward towards the downswing target at the top of the meter. This is the contact target. Okay, so we're going from point A to point B. Contact determines how much hook or slice is applied to your shot, which I really like that they're breaking this down. I didn't like how it was just where your swing ended was pretty much what determined the rest of it. You have a perfectly straight shot that tails, and you're missing the same as if you started all the way left, ended all the way left, or started right and ended at the same point left. It's all that same thing determining it. Now we're separating halves of the swing, We're going to get more dispersion. Swings are going to be more interesting. Contact determines how much the hooker slices. Okay, while performing the downswing, it is important to maintain a smooth rhythm. If you swing too fast, additional power will be added to the shot, which can result in harsher mishit penalties. And if you swing too slow, power is reduced, which will result in less spin and distance. A smooth downswing timing is important for a great shot. Step back and watch your shot fly. So that sounds very, very similar to what we are familiar with at the moment. I know sometimes, and maybe it's more about the distance, sometimes the slow shot feels like it has more spin, but I think that has to do with the way that it comes out. So maybe now it'll go right but roll out more. I don't know. It'll be interesting because technically if you hit it fast, you're applying... You should be theoretically, applying more spin. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but it sounds like those things should be pretty familiar now that we're just moving the rhythm visually into the ring. Did it go where you intended? Check your swing path and contact. Swing feedback. Was it on target but too long or too short? Check your transition and rhythm swing feedback. Also remember, you can upgrade your player's attributes with club fittings, which I think is, yes, that is the next page that we're going to be looking at. As your attributes increase, so too does the scale of the swing target's the swing correction attribute will determine the severity of the additional fade and draw added to your ball's flight path. Sum up an EvoSwing using swing stick, pull the stick down. Yeah, I think we get... Oh, hold on. I should read it. Pull the swing stick downward to move the swing cursor toward the backswing target, matching the speed of the power indicator. Okay. So I guess that can have an effect. Is it saying matching the speed of the power indicator? They want you to have this smooth thing. When the swing cursor and hopefully the power indicator reaches the backswing target, push the swing stick up towards the downswing target at 3 times the speed of your backswing. So you hear about in regular golf with tempo, they are actually... Now, this stuff may have already been behind the scenes, but we are actually getting it brought to the forefront here in 2K25. A 1-3 timing, which, if that's truly the case, get out your metronomes, ladies and gentlemen. That might actually be something that you could utilize to help mentally get yourself into rhythm. I'm not saying play with the metronome all the time, but it might actually be a feasible thing. Now let's dive into the 3-click information and putting here, and then we'll hop on over into club fittings. EvoSwing with the 3-click. 3-click provides a different swing experience from swing stick, not only the input method, but the mindset. With 3-click, you react to visual cues to hit the perfect shot. PGA Tour 2K's take on 3-click is a bit unique in that we use a press, hold, and release to set the power before the 2 additional clicks determine the push, pull, and hook slice. This approach requires a different kind of reactionary input, which makes controlling power and distance on a shot challenging yet exciting. Okay, so if I remember correctly, that sounds like what it was in 2K23. You would press, hold as the circle filled, you release, then you would hit as it went to the top and to the bottom, which I believe were the separated tempo and backswing. Now we have 4 components in this, so I'm trying to figure out if I'm missing something or if they're combined. It doesn't really seem like there's a rhythm piece, right? You have push, pull, and hook, slice. I think the rhythm is just kind of baked into it being a timing mechanic, but let's read. Press and hold X, A, or left click. A circle representing your shot power will grow. Release the button when you've reached your desired power. The red band represents added power, but also added difficulty. What I am wondering, because one thing that could happen is you would try and overpower, and in 2K23 at least, it went up to 110%. Beyond 110%, it could fall back down and would kind of lock at 95%. I'm assuming that that's going to be the case here, but who knows? Maybe there is where you can hold it really long and guarantee the overpower. That kind of feels like something they wouldn't do, because then that would be pretty broken. Just hold it down to hit it as far as absolutely possible and kind of nullify one component of it. So I'm going to assume that that's not the case, but we'll see where that falls, right? Is it 95%? Is it 98%? Where does that go if you overpower it? After you set your power, the swing plane meter will begin moving counterclockwise. Press X, A, or left click to stop the meter at the bottom highlighted portion of it. Oh, you know what's actually interesting thinking about it now? With the new shot shaping mechanic of it moving where your targets are, that probably also plays into your 3-click timing, right? Now, if you're trying to fade it, you have to hit it earlier, and if you're drawing it, you're going to hit it later. It just shifts things around a little bit. 3-click is not just always going to be shot shape it and then the same swing. So even with it being, an easier mechanic, shot shaping inherently becomes a little bit harder with that. The farther you are from here, the more your shot will either push, golfer facing direction, or pull opposite of the golfer facing direction. After you set your swing plane, the swing timing meter will continue to move counterclockwise. Press and hold X, A, or left click to stop the meter at the top highlighted portion of the meter. The farther from here you are, the more your shot will either hook or slice. So it's starting counterclockwise. I'm assuming it's going to start at like 3 o'clock and move down into the like 6 o'clock territory. And then once you get back up to 12 o'clock, that's where your swing plane transitions up into your swing timing. Finally, okay, here we go. Finally, to set the rhythm of your swing, you release X, A, or left click to stop the collapsing ring in the center of the meter. An early release will add power to the shot, while a late release will reduce the power. Okay, so they have added an extra piece for the rhythm, which does make sense. So power to grow, then your meter is going to go around the circle. I'm having a hard time drawing backwards here. Go around the circle, hit your swing path, right? Your swing plane, rather. Hit your swing timing, and then I guess it's going to move the circle back in, and that inner circle is going to be where you have to get your timing right for the rhythm. And then putting, whether your chosen swing input is swing stick or 3-click, putting is quite similar to standard swings. Putts have no swing bias. Here are a few notes when putting with EvoSwing. Your backswing determines push or pull on a putt. Putt weight is similar to transition timing. Overswing will result in overshooting your target. Underswing will undershoot. And putt rhythm is important, as this too will determine your final power in a shot. Too fast increases the power, too slow reduces it. I like the change. I suck at putting, but I like that it's harder. It makes it less automatic for everybody else. That helps me. All right, now we've got shot types. There are a variety of special shot types to help you navigate any situation you will find yourself in on the course. We've got tee shots, shots that can only be performed off the tee. Makes sense. Tee shot, power drive, stinger, and a choked tee shot. So you've got 4 off the tee. The interesting part here is that you have power drive. So this by default will add more power as opposed to having to overswing. So that could be quite powerful. A lot of these things are going to depend on how do they actually affect your other forgivenesses, right? If it makes them all less forgiving, then it's like, well, what's the real big difference? Unless you're going to be able to shot shape less, which is not necessarily super fun because I love shot shaping, but something to keep an eye on there for sure. Approach shots, we have approach, choked approach, pitch, off the deck, spinner, runner, and knockdown. They are taking so much from EA. I mean, they are copying their homework, and if they do it right, they might just ace the test and get away with the plagiarism. Approach shot is your standard shot. You cannot approach with a driver, and it is usable everywhere. Choked approach, same thing, but as we've read earlier, is a 10% loss. Pitch shot, a 3/4 shot that is often used when golfers find themselves inside the distance of a full swing, formed with short irons and wedges from anywhere. Off the deck, okay, so this is just a separate shot type for your driver. Which means, yes, you're going to have these skills in order to pull off some of the shots that you were able to just pull off anytime, anywhere in 2K23. We'll see once we play how I feel about that. Like, on the one hand, okay, neat that you have skills that actually mean something. On the other part, kind of sad that I can't just try and pull off any old shot with any old golfer. The spinner is a pitch shot with added spin, causing it to fly higher, land softer, and roll less. Can be performed with a wedge from the fairway or the light rough. Makes sense that you can't do it from the heavy rough because just trying to get all that extra spin out of the heavy rough is not really a realistic thing. A runner is a low-flying pitch shot with reduced spin, allowing it to provide longer rollouts, formed with short irons and wedges from anywhere on the course, and then knock down a low-flying full shot with added spin, allowing it to reduce rollout, performed with hybrids, long irons, mid irons from the fairway and the rough. And I guess the rough is probably talking about light and heavy. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you've got 4 off the tee, 7 approach shots. It'll be interesting. Like, it's how the real question is, how much of things like spinner and runner can you do with a regular approach shot? Right? How much shot shaping can you apply to achieve the outcome of a skill-based shot? I'm assuming that they're reducing the amount of shot shaping you can do in favor of added skills. So, could be very interesting. Could also take away a little bit of the generic creativity. You know, they said that you can have 2/3 of the skills across the shots, you know, in these different shot trees. Some of them might be full skips. Some of them might be, you know, fully gung-ho. 2/3, I don't know if you're going to be able to unlock everything, but there may be ones that you do just want to leave out. So let's see what recovery shots have. Because recovery might be what, you know, you're going to play a game where you're pretty much going to try and just be not in the rough or the bunkers that much, and maybe you don't need to apply many points here. Shots primarily taken from the rough, designed to get out of a bad situation and around obstacles. Flop and super flop. Super flop's going to be busted, I feel like, if it's executable enough on, you know, a consistent basis. Recovery is a shot with plenty of forgiveness to get you back on track, performing mid-iron, short irons, and wedges from the heavy rough and other challenging terrain. Punch, low-flying shot, reduced power, great for getting out of the brush and under trees, performed with woods, hybrids, and irons from any surface aside from bunkers. Okay, so you cannot punch a wedge. And now the thing with this is I believe recovery and punch are like your default ones. You have to unlock the rest. Choke punch is a full punch swing with a slightly reduced carry distance, achieved by gripping the club closer. I guess there's going to be some situations where you're trying to keep it low and let it run, but you don't want to quite carry it as far. It seems like one that maybe you're not going to have a ton of use for, but we'll see. Like, there's going to be so much testing to see, like, how good are these? How much do these situations actually come up? Flop shots, high-flying, short-distance shots that land soft with moderate roll, performed with a wedge from any surface aside from bunkers. Okay. They're finally taking flops out of the bunkers. That was something that I would 100% utilize. If it was further than what I would want to do with the splash shot, take a flop, get the spin, easy money. So no bunkers allowed. Super flop is a flashy shot that climbs higher than it travels, landing soft with minimal roll, performed with a wedge from around the green. Now, super flop doesn't specify not bunkers. I'm going to assume it is still not bunkers, but just little nuance there that it doesn't mention. It just says around the green, which could just be X amount of distance from the green. Now we have bunker shots. Shots from the sands. You got splash, pick, power pick, and blast. Splash is your standard one. Pick is a difficult shot that produces soft landings and reduced rollouts. Power pick, a fairway bunker shot with a lot of power, producing spin, loft, and controlled rollouts, performed with irons from fairway bunkers. And a blast shot, very forgiving, comes out low, runs far. Personally, I haven't been a blast guy. Power pick is interesting. You could tend to get a lot of spin out of the bunkers as is, but maybe this just makes it even more controlled that you can still kind of hit a basic approach shot from the bunker, supposing that you get your distances right. I think pick will end up being the go-to for most. But if you can get the blast to work for you, it being a very forgiving shot as opposed to what they are calling a difficult bunker shot, if it is truly difficult and there is a way to be forgiving and green, you have greens that allow for it and you can understand that rollout, blast might become something in the arsenal. Probably gives you a chance to roll it in the hole, but pick oftentimes is going to be the one that gets you up close to the hole and then leaves you with an easier putt. Now we have shots around the green, which looks to be the last section of this page. Shots used during the short game within a specified distance of the pin. So you've got putt, tap in, chip, bump and run, Texas wedge, and lag putt. So that would be the other 6. We were talking about there was putt, there's Texas wedge, and there was lag putt. It looks like the other ones are tap in, chip, and bump and run. Interesting tap in. You're close enough to the hole. This shot can't miss. Convenient. I wonder how forgiving that'll be. Because is it going to take into the consideration like a crazy slope that you're on, but you happen to be within a certain amount? I'll take it though. You got your standard chip shot, mid iron, short iron, or wedge from any surface. They're letting us chip from out of the greens or out of the bunkers again. Is that what you're telling me? And any surface. That also means on the green. Green chippers, you've been saved another day. Bump and run, a low-flying chip shot that lands early, rolls extensively, performed with mid, short irons, or wedges from around the green. Again, same wording as we had earlier, from around the green. So I don't know if bump and run and super flop are proximity-based. Be within X amount of distance to the green, and you can use these. Bump and run, though, I feel like you would want to be closer than the flop, but super flop, it says higher than it travels, so those are going to be pretty short shots, too. Texas wedge, intended for use off the green, and then your lag putt gives you, sacrifice accuracy for distance forgiveness. So we've got quite a lot here. You got 6, 10, 15, what is this, 22? We got 26 shot types. That's a lot of shot types, a lot of things to think about with how you build your golfer out, and you're going to have to leave something off the table at some point. So I am very much so looking forward to messing around with this. It's going to slowly come, right? We're going to be playing through, building up our characters and adding these on as we go, and then I think you get to a point where it's like, okay, I have everything. I don't really like this. I do like this. I want this to be a little bit more forgiving. Then we'll start to mess around. But let's hop on over to the level up tokens and the club fittings. And Evo tools. We got leveling up is the heart of equipment progression in PGA Tour 2K25. Simply put, the more you play with a piece of equipment, the more it will level up. This is true of both clubs and balls, though they do differ slightly in the type of upgrade used to enhance their particular set of attributes. Players can get around needing XP to level up with level up tokens. Level up tokens are used to specifically increase the level of a chosen club set or ball by 1. Right, because you have club sets that you upgrade as you play with them. So what this is going to lead to, I think, is everybody's probably going to start out grinding like the HB/2K default clubs, but it's not quite sounding like clubs are going to be aesthetic again. 2K21, they weren't aesthetic, they had stats tied to them. 2K23, fully aesthetic, and you had the fittings. Now it seems like there's a combination. Like, club fittings matter, but also the base club matters. and you have to level them up by playing or skipping with these level up tokens. So might be worthwhile if you have level up tokens, whether from a pre-order or if there are other ways to get them, keep it in your back pocket. Wait a little bit. Get a feel for how things are going, find out kind of what there is, and then use them to be efficient. That's just my 2 cents. Leveling up your equipment is extremely important. For most clubs, equipment level determines the amount of fitting slots a club has. Level 1 has 1, level 2 has 2, and so on. Putters start with 0 fitting slots, getting their first slot at level 2. Balls only have 1 slot, but equipment level determines how much your attributes are affected when that slot is filled. Okay, so they're really making like equipment and golfer matter in this. Now, you can grind to level 99. With time, you're going to be able to get everything. But if you don't have a leveled golfer, you're brand new, you are going to be so far behind everybody. How to level up clubs. As you play with a particular club set, it will progress and level up. Because a club set's level determines the amount of fittings you can apply to that club set is generally good practice to play, practice, and play again with those clubs that enhance your player attributes the most. Club sets also have upgrade tiers called Evos. Once a player has completed leveling up their club set, they can use an Evo tool to unlock the next Evo, which unlocks more powerful fitting slots. So it sounds like your club set has fitting slots, and then as you level them up and essentially prestige them, those fitting slots upgrade. So I guess you can apply fittings, and then the fitting slots kind of determine how much those fittings boost things. Is how I'm reading into it. Fittings are back, but very different. Yes, that is kind of what we've gathered from all the things we've heard thus far. Fittings are used to improve the performance of your clubs with a fitting particular benefit layered on top of the progression of your MyPlayer attributes. When fittings are applied in a slot, they boost a corresponding MyPlayer attribute, which are power, correction, transition, swing path, rhythm, contact, recovery, shaping, putt weight, putt path, putt rhythm, and putt contact. Basically, we have a putt variation of the default swing mechanics, as well as a few others here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 regular, and then you've got 4 for the putter. Fittings are the core of the new equipment progression system. So simplifying and enhancing how they work in PGA Tour 2K25 was the main goal. The new approach simplifies upgrading in the following ways. Fittings are now universal. If your club set uses that fittings attribute, you can apply it. Number of attributes in a fitting has been reduced. Okay, because in the last game, every fitting affected all 6 attributes. So now you have 8 and 4, but individual fittings are not going to affect the entire set of stats, which means you have to probably be a little bit more particular in how you set things up. As club levels increase, so too does the number of fittings that can be applied to that club set. Nice. Single fitting is applied to an entire set of clubs by type. For example, if you apply a correction fitting to a classic F01 3-wood, that correction fitting can also be applied to classic F01 5-wood. Right, so it's all part of the sets. But that means you have to grind club sets as well. Now, if you have a mixed bag, maybe that's a way to kind of do multiple things at once, unless they force you to stay, within a club set. Like you pick a club set and then you pick which clubs from that set you want to have in the bag. And as I mentioned in their video, no longer a VC cost to fitting the club set. Fittings are free, which is fantastic because that just allows for so much more adaptability, testing, and all of those sorts of things. Now, these are just relisting the MyPlayer attributes. I believe this is all 12 of those same stats. They can all be enhanced by fittings. Now, we also have the ball leveling. Leveling up balls works similarly to how clubs level up. However, in this case, consumable balls are used to add a particular attribute for the duration of a round, which was in 2K23. But can you level up the default ball, I guess is the question. Like clubs, in addition to standard levels, balls also have different Evos. Once a player has completely leveled their ball, they can use an Evo tool to unlock the next Evo, which unlocks a more powerful consumable ball slot. The higher your ball's level and or Evo, the more ball's attribute will be impacted by its consumable ball. So, okay. So you use a ball, and I don't know if it only levels up when you use the consumable ball on it, but once you upgrade your ball, you can add multiple consumable balls. Is this going to be toggleable in societies again? Because if not, this is a whole other thing that we're going to have to try and figure out. But we have forgiveness, flight, and spin. Forgiveness, flight, and spin. I think there was a fourth attribute in 2K23. Drop a comment in the chat if you remember what it was. Because I pretty much never used the consumable balls. Tested them out once or twice and then stopped using them because we don't use them on TGC tours. Let me know, what were the attributes that they had on them and what's different here? And then multiple sets of clubs. We have multiple sets. I believe they showed that you can get 4. The last one unlocking at level 40. I'm assuming that level 50 is the cap. Level 40 could theoretically be the cap. I haven't seen anything yet showing what more they could have. But that is the new info. There is a lot there. Still some questions, but they can't give us everything, because then we could have everything figured out before the game gets here. So thank you all for watching. I'm very much so enjoying getting all these nuggets of information, and I will catch you all in the next one.